Welcome back, my rooted and rebuilt family. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys something that a lot of people don't know how to do. And I want to be the one to show you how to do it. And that is reading a food label. How do we read one of these? What does it mean? And how does it work to our advantage and disadvantage and the things that we need to look out for and pay attention? So make sure you stick close to this one. Let's get straight into it. A lot of people know and most people see these food labels and we just look at them as, oh, it's just telling us how many calories it has, but we're not really reading deep enough into it. See, how these food labels are constructed, they're going to determine what you can and should be eating, how much of it you should be eating, and whether it's really good for you or not really good for you. Knowing how to read these labels are going to keep you on track for your body goals or whatever it is as far as staying above on your health. So let's break it down. Now, first things first, you'll always see on a food label are the nutrition facts. You'll see, right, for this, Planters peanuts, dry roasted peanuts, right? You have your nutrition facts, and then you have the calories here, right? First thing you'll notice is that under nutrition facts, it'll say about 16 servings per container. So that means that this container you should be able to get 16 portions out of this with no problem, no issue, no hassle, right? So then right under that, it tells you what the serving size is. Now, the serving size for this specifically is 1 ounce, which is about 28 grams. Now, a common misconception that a lot of people have is that they'll see these food labels and they will be like, oh, this has 160 calories. Great. This is a great little snack. What you're not taking into consideration is that the calories that are shown on a food label are per serving size. So when you see 160 calories per serving size, that means in one serving of this, you're going to take in 160 calories. Now, how do you figure out how much is in this entire container? Simple. You take that 160 and you multiply it by the serving size. So 160 times 16 is about 2,700 calories. So this entire container of peanuts is 2,700 calories. So a lot of people will go and they'll just eat these mindlessly, and they'll get through half of this container like it's nothing, not realizing that, damn, you just took in about 1,400 calories worth of peanuts and you still haven't even eaten normal meals for the day. You still have to eat maybe once or twice for the day. It's 12 o'clock and you've already eaten 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 calories worth of peanuts, and you have already eaten breakfast. You still have lunch and dinner. You're going to break your calories for the day. You're going to break however many calories you're supposed to be eating, whatever your daily caloric value is. Your majority of it went straight to these peanuts just by not understanding that this calories number is based off of serving size. It is not based off of the entirety of this jar. Now, the next thing that you need to understand also is that underneath this 160, right? So I'll show you guys a little closer. You'll see something called daily value. If anything, I'll put it up on the screen right here. I'll put up a little breakdown of this on the side, but you'll see something that says daily value percentage, right? What is a daily value? Your daily value is based off of someone who has a 2,000 calorie diet. This serving size constitutes for that percent of what they should be taking in as far as their daily value is concerned. So let me clear that up for you, right? So for example, it says total fats per serving size, keep that in mind, per serving size, the total fat is 13 grams, 17%. That 17% does not mean that this entire thing holds 17% of fats, that this is made up of 17% fats. No, that's not what that means. What it means is that one serving size of this, which is 13 grams of fat, constitutes for 17% of the daily value that someone should be taking in when it comes to fats. Now, what is that daily value? For someone with a 2,000 calorie diet, you should be taking in roughly about 78 grams of fat on a day-to-day basis. Now, for other people, this might shock you, or you'll say, what? I've taken way more than that. Depending on your body type, depending on how active you are, whether you go to the gym and everything like that, these numbers, they're going to differentiate between person to person. This is always based off of an average person, not off of the high level athlete who their body might operate a little bit better or a little bit more to where they need to take in more in order to sustain that body. So going back to that, total fats, 13 grams, 17%. That's 17% of its daily value. Then you go down to something like sodium, 85 milligrams. It's 4%. 4% of your daily value. As far as as far as your daily value is concerned and milligrams is concerned as how much you should be taking in, for sodium, you should be taking in roughly about 2,500 milligrams of sodium a day. Now, people often think, oh, sodium, that's going to raise my blood pressure, that's going to raise my blood level, whatever the case may be. No, people misconceive what sodium really is. Sodium is not just something that raises your blood pressure and is not something that just gives something taste. Sodium is also what keeps you hydrated. If you notice in any alkaline waters, especially high alkaline waters like essential water, sometimes even life water, smart water, you'll see that it has sodium in there. Sodium is what helps keeps us hydrated. But now it's the thing, are you taking in the right salt? Most people use white table salt, the iodized salt. That's not what you should be taking in. In all actuality, iodized salt dehydrates your body. So that's why sometimes you'll put white salt on things and then you always need a drink next to that because that dehydrates your body. High value salts, high quality salts such as flaky sea salt, Malden's flaky sea salt is a great brand. Pink Himalayan salt, another great salt, but not everyone could take it. But kosher salt is another one. These high quality salts are designed to hydrate your body and refill it with some of the electrolytes that you actually might need. Now, the next thing you'll see is, like, for instance, carbohydrates, 7 grams. It's 2%. 2% of your daily value. So now we scroll down and we keep going for the total carbs, right? Total carbs, 7 grams, 2%. That means that it's only 2% of your entire diet based off of someone with a 2,000 calorie diet. Now, how many carbs should you be taking in on a roughly day-to-day basis? About 275 grams, 275 grams of carbs per day. Now, dependent on what your body goals are or what you're trying to do as far as in the gym and everything, these numbers will fluctuate. Now, something that you also need to keep in mind are the sugars and the included added sugars. So most of the time you'll see that a label has total sugars and then included added sugars. The total sugars is how much this comes with naturally, like how much sugar this has naturally. So peanuts have a natural amount of sugar that's in it. Now, included added sugars is another 2 grams of processed sugar that is added to it to give it flavor, to give it taste, whatever the case may be. So these two things you need to keep in mind because your total sugars and then included added sugars are going to be completely different. If something has a lot of added sugar, that means it's going to be less value for you and it's going to spike whatever you're trying to avoid as far as keeping glucose levels down and everything of that nature. You want to make sure that you're keeping in mind your total added sugars and then your included added sugars because they are two totally different things. And as far as protein is concerned, everyone knows, well, let me not say that. Then as far as protein is concerned, then you have 7 grams of protein there, which is at 7%. Roughly, you should be taking in about 50 grams of protein. But again, depending on your body goals, the type of lifestyle you live, that is going to fluctuate. For example, someone like me, I'm in a cut right now and I'm taking in about 180 grams of protein a day. But that is also because I am working out very high level. I'm working out at very high volume and weight. I'm doing runs and I'm lifting heavy. So I need more protein in order to, one, fuel my body and to build those muscles. Now, when you're looking at a food label, you want to look for certain things, right? The main things that you want to look at are your calories, your serving size. You want to look at trans fats. Trans fats are basically shelf life boosters. So when you see something that is high in trans fat, that just means that it is placed in there so that this can sit on a shelf for a very, very long time. That is something you want to stay away from, because the longer something can sit on a shelf, the longer it can sit in your body and cause fat production. You don't want that. So one of the main things you want to look for when you're looking at a food label is look at those trans fats. You want to keep those trans fats as low as possible or close to zero, if not zeroed out. The next thing that you want to look at is your sodium. You always want to stay conscious of your sodium, depending on if you're more of a sedentary lifestyle, you don't want to break that 2500 milligram sodium level, because it can raise, your blood pressure and everything like that. But for people who are high level athletes, this is 2300, 2500 milligrams of salt sometimes doesn't even do it for us. The next thing that you should look at, like I said, are your total sugars and your included added sugars. You want to know how much glucose you're taking in, how much sugar you're taking in, because sugar can start to translate into fat. So make sure that you look out for that as well. Then we have the ingredients list at the bottom. Now, when it comes to ingredients lists, if there is anything on that label that you cannot pronounce, your body cannot break it down, or it's not going to react properly to it. Another thing is that if that food label or that ingredients list is more than 5 ingredients, or it looks like a Bible scripture, stay away from it. That is all shelf life, preservatives, and things that are going to not make your journey any easier. I have a rule in place for Rooted and Rebuilt Health. Number 1, 5 ingredients is the max that we go with. If it has anything more than 5, 99% of the time we're going to stay away from it. Our aim is single ingredient whole foods, then 3 to 5 ingredients after that. Another big rule of thumb is that if it didn't grow from the ground, from the earth, and it wasn't living, walking on this earth, and you can't tell me where it came from, you should not be eating it or taking it in. So what does that mean? Where do eggs come from? Hens, chickens. Where does steak come from? Cows. Where do fish come from? The water, the sea, whatever type of fish that you have. Caviar, fish eggs. Where does a Dorito come from? Where does an Oreo come from? Where does a Twinkie come from? A Devil Dog, a Ho-Ho, Enemans cookies. If you can't tell me where these things come from, you shouldn't be having them, or you shouldn't be indulging in these things, because they are going to constitute for weight gain. The more ingredients, the more that ingredients list looks like a book cover, a Bible verse, whatever you want to call it, the more preservatives, the more unnatural ingredients that are present in there. Like I said, if you can't pronounce it and it looks like a science project when you read it, 90% chance your body cannot digest it properly. And not to say that you can't have it from time to time, or that you can't enjoy little indulgences. It is not going to kill you, no, but it's not going to make your journey any easier. So let's do a full recap. When it comes to reading a food label, you want to keep certain things in mind, and you want to look out for specific things. You want to look out for the serving size. Then you want to also always keep in mind that calories number that you always see, that is based on the serving size. That means it is not the calories for the entire container. If you want to find out how many calories are in this entire container, you need to take the calories that are here and multiply it by how many servings are in the container. So under the nutrition facts, you will always see how many servings are in a container, how many servings are in the bag, how many servings are in the packaging. Then you go underneath that and you will see that the serving size is told to you right there in clean English. For this example, serving size is 1 ounce, 28 grams, about 39 pieces. So if I wanted to know how many calories is in this entire package, I'm going to take that 160 and then I'm going to multiply it 16 times, because there are 16 servings in here, which gives me about 2,700 calories. The next thing that you want to always keep in mind, trans fats. The more trans fats that are in there, the more of a shelf life booster it is, the more it's going to constitute and promote weight gain. You want to stay away from things that are high in trans fats. The next thing that you want to keep in mind, that percentage on the side, daily value, that doesn't mean that's how much percent of, let's say, saturated fats or total fats is in this entire jar. 17% doesn't mean that this entire jar is made up of 17% of fat. No, that means that one serving size of this, which is 13 grams, constitutes for 17% of the daily value that you should be taking in on a regular 2,000 calorie diet. Now, what is that? What is a daily value again? Your daily value is how much of that you should be taking in on a day-to-day basis based on what your diet is. And for a normal average person, for example, for total fats, you should be taking in about 78 grams of fat on a single day basis. When it comes to your sodium, it's about 2,300 to 2,500. When it comes to your proteins, it's about 50 grams. And when it comes to your carbs, it's about 275 grams. Then we also have your total sugars, which is how much sugar this naturally has, and then included added sugars. That's how much processed sugar that they're throwing in there. So you want to make sure that this is at a very, very low number. Another thing is that when you're looking at these daily values and these percentages, this is another little extra piece of information. Anything that is 5% or lower is considered low. So you'll see something, sometimes you'll see on food labels or packages, it'll say low sodium. Low sodium or low percentage of anything just means just means 5% or less. When you see something that is high percentage, it means that it's at 20% or higher. So for example, we go back to, let's say, saturated fats. For this, it says 10%. So that's about in the middle. It's not too bad, not too great, as you know, it's whatever. But let's say that this saturated fat was at 30%. That's on the higher level now, the high end now, and that's something you want to stay away from. So anytime you see something that says low calorie, low sodium, low sugar, that just means that it's less than 5% of the daily value that you should be taking in. Then last but not least, it is the ingredients list, which I think is the most important thing at the end of the day besides the calories and the serving size. The ingredients list, and knowing that if you see more than 5 ingredients, it is a shelf life booster. It's not supposed to be going in your body, and it's not going to help your body goals. Then, next rule of thumb, if it sounds like a science project, if you cannot read it, it cannot go into your body. It can go in your body, but it should not, because it's not going to help with what you're trying to accomplish. Main rule of thumb, if it wasn't living on this earth or come from the ground, and you can't tell me where it came from, you should not be eating it. So that's how you read simply a nutrition label. In another video, I'm going to break down how and what everything individually means. The total fats, what are saturated fats, what are trans fats, polysaturated, what are carbs, everything of that nature, so that you can start to understand what you are reading. But this is exactly why understanding the food label plays such an important role in your body goals. And this is exactly why I created my route list, which I always leave in the description below. That route list is the holy Bible that allowed me to lose over 100 pounds just by understanding how to read labels and understanding ingredients and understanding how to put things in my body that actually help where I'm trying to get to instead of hindering that. So make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you got value from this, make sure you put a thumbs up on the video, and I'll see you in the next one. And always remember, stay rooted in health and rebuilt with a purpose. I'll see you in the next one. Yeah.